So what is Krita? Krita is a free open source illustration program. You can download it by going to krita.org. We're going to get the Windows version. It is maintained at kritastudio.com. This is Kiki, their mascot.
Some people might not know.
He's an albino squirrel. It's still so Krita is really cool. It is designed for illustration right from the start. So if you don't have a tablet, maybe consider getting one. But you actually don't need it because of some cool features in Krita. But it really sings with the tablet. Let's see, where's this tablet? Oh, this pen is broken.
Are they working on releasing versions of Android?
For what?
Android?
I think that is on the long-term roadmap. There is also a
They're working on a version for the Mac.
yeah, the Mac version is also in transit.
That would be nice.
But to some extent, you're going to have to imagine what this looks like with a tablet because we don't have a working pen here.
Oh, sure, I have my watch now.
Oh, bring it over. Wonderful. Wacom tablet.
Yeah, portable. Didn't get it because it was cheaper. Portable, that's the reason. I'm not poor. What are you guys?
Wacom tablet.
You could be cheap.
Yo. So this is installing. Here we have the Wacom tablet. Krita is actively developed. It's getting animation support soon for 2D animation. It's really, really fun. And I don't know, I'm just rambling while it installs. I can show you some work I've done with Krita.
Did you say it has some animation tools?
Yes, it's getting 2D animation support, so it's going to have like a timeline and onion skinning and stuff like that.
Getting that, that's not in the current release.
Yeah, but it's like it was just pushed to trunk, so it should be there like within a week or something.
It was in the video. I remember that video. I did play it on the. That was right next to it. No, Krita booth was right next to the Thunder booth.
Oh, okay.
It was on the constantly.
Internet going so slow. Some of you may have seen this multiple times. What's slower, the internet or the installation?
Or the internet.
I'm just cursed today. Every time I step up to do a tutorial, the computer totally bails on me. Everyone else did great. Good job, guys.
I didn't wish I had.
It does support vector.
Better than here.
It would be great if anything worked on my computer.
It has paths, but you have to individually.
I can show you.
And after it finishes throwing mirrors at me, saying things under.
So here, when we open Krita, we get your standard window. It has lots of templates. I'm just going to select a nice big design template.
A4.
You can, if you have something copied to the clipboard, you can have that be your starting document. And in this tutorial, we're going to start with cool stuff right up front.
So you can select that. But you can make paths that are really good.
So
Very selection.
if I right-click, right from the start, you can see that Krita is designed for illustration. The first thing you get is a color palette with all your brushes. And also, if I start drawing, it'll save a memory of the main colors that I'm using in my scene. Let's start off talking about Krita's best mode, which is, first off, I'm going to go to the sketch brushes. This is in the powerful brush editor of Krita. I gave this talk like 5,000 times at SIGGRAPH. And the sketch brushes are super, super cool. So for instance, I can select this one, and you can try out your brushes before you use them. Let's see, pretty nice look to it. And these sketch brushes are really fun because as I draw the stroke, it sort of remembers the stroke that's next door. Or it remembers the entire stroke. So as I draw, it's going like that, and then when I approach it, it tries to draw a connection to its previous stroke. So what's awesome about this is you can very quickly have hard edges versus soft, especially with some of the better sketch brushes.
You build your own brushes.
Yeah, you can. There's lots of ways you can modify it. So like, for instance, this one is another sketch brush. If I go slow and hard, the slower I go, the more ink it puts out. And the faster I go, and the lighter I go, the less ink it puts out. But it's remembering this entire stroke. I haven't lifted the pen off the canvas yet. So as I go, I can very quickly go from light to dark, which is and have hard edges versus soft edges, which is normally one of the harder things to do in illustration. You can also turn on mirror mode, and this is great because it lets you just very quickly just bust out the face. Anyone here do 2D art at all? Sketchbook, stuff like that? Very cool. Inkscape?
You can see something, but then I ended up confused with that.
That is really awesome. Yeah, I could not mess around with it enough to find this out.
Yeah, the mirror modifier is dope.
Also, or have you shown them the thing that's really cool yet?
Oh, the perspective or whatever?
No, the thing that you the effects layers.
Oh yeah. It supports lots of layer types. So for instance, I'm going to go to settings. I'm going to change my dockers to include layers. Oh, there's other. And I can add things like the vector layers. And so now, if I draw using the vector brush, I'm going to put some vectors in here, and it's going to create these vectors on this layer, which is specifically designed for vectors. And now I can select that, and we can modify it, how it's working on this layer. So I can say the fill is a gradient, maybe a rainbow gradient, with no line. And now whenever I want, I can go back in and edit that. Whee! You can even do, it's complicated, but you can even do the subtractive shapes like you have in Illustrator. I think what you have to do is you start with a group layer. Then we're going to create inside of this group layer another vector layer.
Are there layer masks?
There are.
Can you have a vector layer mask?
Yes, I think so. But so on this group, I'm going to set the fill. Can also do that? Oh, I have to have it selected. So I want the fill. The rainbow also. And now this group layer I can set to erase mode. And then I can erase from that. Let's delete all that. The ways that you can modify the brush engine are really, really fun. So this was one I showed a lot at SIGGRAPH, which is if you go to the pixel brushes, over here you have one of these is like a texture brush. So this one, it's got like a brick road, and you can see how it's following along your stroke, and it's pointing in the direction that you're drawing. The way it's doing this, if you look at its properties, is it has a size attribute that's mapped to pressure. So I draw light, I draw hard, and it gets bigger. The opacity is mapped to the same thing, I think. Yeah, pressure. And the rotation is set to drawing angle. I'm going to turn, on the size attribute, I'm going to turn perspective on and turn off pressure. And this is really fun. I'm going to turn mirror off, and I'm going to add a perspective grid with the ruler tool.
I was talking about the, like the...
Oh yeah, we'll get there.
Uh,
Well, now with this brush selected, it's going to, oh, I want assistant turned on also. We can now draw our strokes into perspective. Pretty cool, right?
and you can just make the grid bigger, you have problems going off that.
Yeah.
Does your brush snap to that, to the grid?
Yeah, the assistant made it like try and snap to the grid. Another cool thing you can do is filter layers, which can let you sort of paint procedurally with a cool effect. So I'm going to go into the artistic filters, turn on oil paint, so setting up 10 pixels. And so now you can see it's causing this cool filter, but it'll update in real time as I draw. So I can say,
You're on
one more. You can see how it's modifying it a little bit. Where's the sketch brushes? Oh, the sketch brushes, how I love them. Actually, the particle brushes are really fun too.
Charcoal brush?
It's a particle. Particle. Particle.
No, I was asking if there was a charcoal brush.
Yeah.
Charcoal brushes are usually just, at least they can. It has all of Inkscape's brushes, doesn't it?
It has
all of my paint's brushes.
Yeah, it has all my paint's brushes. You can see how this creates like a pretty instant cool filter.
That is really awesome.
It's a bit slow.
Yeah, I mean the canvas size is huge. It's like 3,000 or something.
It's also nice that they have the preview screen.
Very quickly.
Oh, it's a person. Who knew?
Yeah. What else is cool in Krita?
Everything.
The tile.
Oh yeah, tile textures are cool. If you do 3D stuff and you need, this is where I use it with Blender a lot. Tiling textures are something that you use in 3D a lot. You can hit W and it turns on wraparound mode. I have to turn on OpenGL.
Oh, so it creates the same.
Oh, you'll
the
see.
same size.
So I'm going to delete display, turn on OpenGL. Now I hit wraparound mode. Tiling textures.
Woo! That's awesome. This might actually make me want to texture the dragon.
Pretty great, right?
Yeah.
You turn it off, and it'll mirror from side to side.
And you can also have like arrays, right?
Yeah, you can create. So there's something called clone layers in Krita. So let's say I make this layer just a nice little purple thing, right? I can create a clone layer from it.
Just to let you know, Oscar, I'm just basically recalling things from the video.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you get to watch that a lot. So I can move this clone out here, and now when I modify this one, say with this, whatever this brush is, it'll modify it on the clone. And even cooler than that is you can create a clone array by saying tool, layer clones array. We say the number of elements you want. So let's say 6 columns of this. I'm just going to leave the default settings. And it's all clones off of this layer. So this is really handy if you do something where like you're doing like Final Fantasy orthographic style perspective. You can like have all your farm bill houses clone.
Does it allow kind of modifier stacking type of thing like cloning?
The filter layers are kind of like that.
The filter layers are probably the best example of that. Like you can have.
Oh, it also supports DVDRs.
Yeah. And you are just put into the video.
Yeah.
So, like, to show filter layers again, you know, you can go down here and say filter layer, and we could have something like blur. Let's have a Gaussian blur. Let's link it. Let's do that. Now on this layer, when I draw you can see how it's blurring from left to right, but not side to side.
Up and down.
Yeah. Also, here's something that's really fun, especially if you use a mouse. A lot of people, their first experience with a 2D program for drawing is they're like, yeah, I'm going to make this beautiful art. Oh, this stroke is hideous. It's going big and then shrinking, and it's like kind of getting all my tiniest little wiggles. What you can do in Krita is use the, what is it called? Fancy brush. The dynamic brush. What the dynamic brush does is it kind of gives a bit of physics to the brush, and this lets you make very clean, smooth lines very, very fast. So, using this brush, I can give an example of that, which is, I'm going to delete that. You know, one of Krita's bigger claims to fame is you can do drawings of this style in caliber using a mouse.
Oh, it's the first.
So you have to be careful with how much you carry the stroke. Like if I just keep drawing, you can kind of see what this brush tries to do. And so in a sort of slingshot way, you might accidentally swing it way far. But you can do some pretty cool stuff.
You can use that on any brush, right?
Yeah. So we can go in with that. The curve brush. So this brush is really fun. And now it's using the what's the bigger different one?
So your stroke is relative to the how zoomed in you are?
I don't know. I think so. I think the drag and mass always assumes like it's based on the size of your tablet, not the size of your canvas. You can also do this, which is super fun.
What is that?
That's
This
radial
is the
symmetry.
radial brush, or radial symmetry brush.
And once again, that's on every brush, right?
Yeah. We can use it on some of these weird ones. All these experimental ones do really cool stuff. Let's try the grid brush. Woo!
Yeah, we're gonna probably like 1978.
Yeah.
1970.
Anyways, Krita's really awesome. I love it.
You should use it instead of Blender.
Yeah.
Oscar comes to Seabug all the time. He uses Krita instead of Blender. I never learned anything
I know,
about
this is
Blender.
This is why I had such a bad time today. Is I kept showing things that weren't Blender. Luminance and how to use your camera and Hugin and Krita. This is false advertisement.
Krita's kind of
It can be used with
It's,
Blender.
you know, it's part of a Blender pipeline. And, you know, so are the other two. You can also increase the number of axial points. You go up to like 1. Uh-oh. Here you go. I don't know where my brush is. Pixel brush. There we go. Pretty trippy, right? Cool stuff. So I think that's Seabug in total. The next one, let's check our calendar. I gotta sign into Google.
You should do it on the one that we can see more content.
So, the next month. So we're not meeting in September because that's like in 10 days. That's too hard. But we will meet again October 4th. Okay? Cool. Anyone here not on the emailing list?
I'm not.
You're not? Cool. Oh yeah, I have one other thing, which I'll mention in the Seabug email again. If you feel like drawing, I'm starting another boondoggle, which is the Ballard Life Drawing Co-op. It's going to be free life drawing in Ballard, first and third Thursdays. And part of the reason it's free is because everyone who attends draws each other. So like, we draw lots, and you might be the model for the night. So.
Each person takes turns getting
Yeah,
painted in.
yeah, we're gonna, you know, I don't want to just have everyone model every time, but I don't want anyone to show up and then spend 3 hours modeling and they never get a chance to draw. So I think the current format is it's going to be 2 sessions of an hour and a half. The first person, you draw lots, and they model, and then we do it again with somebody else. So even if you're the first model, you get to draw the next guy, and vice versa. Yeah, and I'll have info. There'll be a Facebook group. Perfect. Awesome. Thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you.
Hope this was fun.
You read it, that's drawn.
Huh?
You read it, that's drawn.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Pretty cool. Cool.
I have to block Reddit. I avoid hard drugs. Even the internet can. My
Blender Cookie's pretty good. CG Cookie. Well, Blender Cookie.
yeah.
They got some good tutorials on there. They got free ones as well as paid ones. Monthly subscription is $18. Yeah, you can try to create one for.
Yeah, I'll look it up. It's really my favorite. Like getting to know all of Blender basic stuff. It's still pretty relevant, although it was done a while back. Because this guy, I forget what school he's at.
Neil Herstock?
Neil Herstock. Yeah, his stuff is. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's great to do. Yeah. You get really good, yeah. Tutorials are really short. You know the guy with the what's busy that's on that whole blend that's on that whole.
Pablo Vasquez.
He's got an accent.
Neil Herstock?
He's the one that has that website. Dutch guy, that does not really narrow it down at all. Well, for yeah, Krita is also
Something I've been looking at lately is doing sort of 2 workshop materials in London.
What?
So apparently you can do, you can submit stuff that you do in Blender as sort of 2 workshops. So it's possible to get paid for modeling simple game models.
Who's AM Seldom Ridge?
Aaron.
Okay. Is the NDGE? He's trying to spell it.
Are you on the
R-I-E-G.
AM.
That's, I don't think
S-E-L-D-E-L-N.
better.
Yeah, R-A-E-G. Yeah, the one, they're 2 email addresses in case one doesn't work.
Cool. If you don't get an email from me in like 3 weeks, just poke me in the future.
I share with him anyway. I just
Okay.
the last time we talked, I says, "Why don't you get on his mailing list?" That book that was put out that you put on, what was the name of that book? Did they ever get it out? Or?
No, it's coming Christmas.
Okay, coming Christmas.
Famous last words.
Yeah, well, I understand that. It's just I've been looking for it and I can't find anything. There's a lot of good tutorials that have been put out there lately.
Yeah, no, I gotta. A lot of the stuff I wrote like at the start is now out of date. So I'm looking forward to a pretty hefty revision.
Well, your page is starting to work out real nice.
We basically have this guy, which I'm using the school.
I wish I had that.
I'm a school teacher. I'm using it with the school.
Yeah, a couple of my, I was teaching.
I don't know what's with John. He didn't ask me to come up yesterday, so he's been real busy.
Can you stand still? Stop recording.